Greetings everyone, this is SteamTeamRedubUK, CC Trainor-Ling, here to bring you another retro review from past seasons of The Loud House. But today, I'm not here alone. Back with me once again to help review this episode is someone you should all be familiar with by now. Please give a warm welcome to my guest and good friend, the returning Theme-Tunes. Hello again, Theme.
Hello, and thank you for having me back. I enjoyed doing these Loud House reviews, and I'm happy to come back and do some more. Yeah.
Yeah, indeed. But this time, it will not be a Lon and Lola episode. This time, we're gonna mix things up a little bit and go for another one of our favorite characters episodes. And who is starring in it? The one and only Lynn Loud Jr.
Yeah, Lynn chicken dinner. I'm looking forward to this.
Aren't we all? Aren't we all? But which episode are we looking at today? Well, it is the Season 3 episode where Lynn is a one-girl basketball team, and she's forced to eat her own words about winning towards the end. Today's episode is titled Net Gains. First we'll discuss the plot, and then our thoughts and critiques with our final scores. So, let's get right into it. The episode begins with Lynn being drafted to the worst girls basketball team in Royal Woods, the Turkey Jerkies. When her plan to rack up all the points herself is figured out by their opponents, and rather than give her fellow teammates a chance to play, she recruits two ringers who begin doing all the work themselves, just like what Lynn was doing before. Lynn apologizes to her team for how she selfishly left them out of the action, and agrees to let them play an equal amount during the championship game. The episode ends with the Turkey Jerkies losing the final game, but they still congratulate Lynn for being a true team player. Well, that concludes the plot of the episode, so now we come to our thoughts and critiques. Our first positive is the very obvious one, Lynn Loud. And Theme, as my guest, you have the honor of kicking this one off.
Okay, so Lynn is actually my favorite Loud sister, up there with Luna. My main reason for really enjoying Lynn's character is her energy and her sportsmanship and all that, you know? I just love her confidence and just willingness to perform in these tournaments. She has a lot of good abilities in sports, and it's like her focal point, and it's nice to see her being focused on. She has her flaws, but she still comes through in the end.
I agree 100%, and I will also go so far as to say that this episode here is actually tied for favorite episode of Season 3 in my book, the other one being Hero Today, Gone Tomorrow, mostly because this episode did a good job of demonstrating how competitive her character can be, and of course she likes to win more than anything, and of course, she has that flibber to back that up. But I'll also go so far as to say that while, yes, she does have a competitive side and she has the spirit to always win, that can also be part of her downfall, and of course leads to the selfishness she had in this episode, which of course with her being the ball hog and trying to do everything herself.
Yeah, because I think Lynn's main problem, I guess, is she does to an extent have some good sportsmanship and being able to work with teammates and stuff. But this time the teammates aren't so good, so it's literally just her carrying it. The only issue here is Lynn really wants to win this trophy, but then she basically feels like she has to carry the team, which I guess she's kind of not wrong on that one. Realistically, with the team, it's she doesn't feel like she can win this game, and I can see why she went this route, because I don't think it's her necessarily wanting to be mean or disrespectful to her teammates as much as it is that she feels well, maybe they don't really care about this anyway, so I think it's fine for me to take it over.
Absolutely, I can see where she was coming from, and I'm gonna be totally honest. If I was the only one talented enough to play this sport compared to, well, you know, a bunch of less than adequate athletes for the Turkey Jerkies, I would have done the same exact thing she did. However, rather than have a little bit of faith in someone like Amy, who was, you know, wide open to make an attempt at scoring, Lynn, in one of her games, had the ball stolen from her because she didn't want to pass it over to someone who could have at least had a shot at scoring. So basically, her desire to be a winner, she was in a lose-lose situation either way, and she only had herself to blame. So yes, I can see why her being competitive and being selfish was good because it was helping her team, but it was also bad because the other teams figured out her team of one strategy, and clearly trying to win that championship single-handedly wasn't going to get her very far, and everyone found out very quickly.
Yeah, so that's the only problem with having a one-note strategy, because word gets around most likely between the teams, and they're like, oh, maybe they're also watching the other games and stuff. So yeah, they're gonna figure it out pretty fast, and especially if they've been playing the game for a long time, their main thing would probably be to figure out other team strategies, and they see that, oh yeah, she's the one that they're relying on, so we'll just make sure we block her and she can't like get through.
Yes, it was very unfortunate for Lynn to go down that path, but according to her, a win is a win no matter who's playing, and more specifically in her mind, who's not playing. And like we said, she's not wrong for thinking that. But of course, that's when she ended up getting a taste of her own medicine and logic when she brought those two girls, Megan and Morgan, onto her team, and she was effectively rendered useless, just like how she rendered the rest of her team useless before those two joined the team. So yeah, she got everything thrown right back at her.
Yeah, because the thing with Lynn is she's very headstrong, so she's not always going to see something that she's doing wrong, because she's very like in the zone. So she won't see that what she did to her teammates as being that wrong in the time, but it took her getting the Megan and Morgan to like, she got treated how she treated her teammates, so she was able to really see the problem at hand and realize, oh, I screwed up here.
Yeah, definitely screwed up. Was willing to make amends by letting the Turkey Jerkies play a little bit more in the championship game. But you know, since I did bring them up, let's just talk about the Turkey Jerkies for just a moment. I'll start off by saying, yeah, they are a positive on my list, because even though they lacked the ability to play basketball, they at least had the heart and did want to win and not look like a bunch of losers. However, that still didn't make it right or fair for Lynn to cut them out of the game when all they were doing was vying for the same championship, even though they all originally agreed to pass the ball to Lynn every time. I mean, sure, they wanted to win like everyone else, and Lynn being their ace in the hole wasn't a bad thing by any means, but when they realized they weren't going to make a single basket because Lynn was too concerned about scoring all the points herself, and no one thought she'd actually play each game with the idea that everyone else is just there to make her look good, I can't fault them for being mad.
Yeah, especially, they must have joined the team for a reason. So it's like I'm sure they joined the team because they wanted to be like, yeah, to be in a basketball team. You don't just join it for no reason. You're going to be interested in basketball. So the fact that they didn't even get to play the team they joined, and they just had to kind of just sit there and watch Lynn like hog the ball and be like, oh, so we're not going to really be a part of this. What's the point even being here?
I think what could have helped the story a little bit more is if one of them, or maybe all of them, tried to spite Lynn by just trying to attempt a few throws and then missing. I mean, I don't know if that would have made Lynn resent them even more than she did, but at least it would have been something to think about.
Yeah, I guess, are you saying like it could have been like, maybe if Lynn did give them a chance and then they did screw up, or if they purposely just screwed up because Lynn wasn't letting them play?
Something like that. Basically saying, look, Lynn, if all you want to do is win and completely shun us out, we would rather just take the loss just to say it's not always about you. We're still on the team, whether you like it or not. So if you want to be this ball hog, go at it, but we don't want to be a part of it anymore. So, you know, just watch your back when we're around.
So then they would have tried to get revenge on Lynn.
Yeah, that would be pretty much it. Just throw the game out of revenge, and then Lynn would have nothing to show for it. I understand that it's not really like the best way of looking at the story, but maybe it would have been a good reflection moment for Lynn to realize it's funny how my team is going to work against me, even though they want to win, but here I am trying to help them look like winners, but they don't really feel like winners because they're getting the cold shoulder.
Yeah, exactly.
But no matter what, Lynn realized the error of her ways, and she decided that for the championship game, she was going to let them all play an equal amount. But I think the best part about that ending scene was how gracious they were about losing. I mean, yeah, they significantly cut their chances of winning after those tall girls left and Lynn passed the ball to everyone else, but their real win was seeing the game to the end through fair and respectful sportsmanship. And I really appreciated how the episode ended.
Yeah, they had a lot of like fun when they played that way rather than playing with just Lynn hogging the ball. The show is really showing us that it's not all about winning as much as it is about enjoying playing a game with a bunch of friends, having a good time, and letting everyone get a chance rather than just people being left on the sidelines to just watch other people, in this case Lynn, be like the one who's just doing everything.
Exactly. Now, of course, while I did like the Turkey Jerkies and the heart they had despite how much they really couldn't play, there were some problems, or at least one problem I did have with the team they had before the Ringers came onto the team. So now let's get right into the negatives of the episode. My first negative of this episode would definitely be Paula. the girl who apparently is allowed to play a game where running and using both hands are very essential. And it's kind of hard to do that when you're in a cast. Now, given this review is being made years after this episode first aired, and seeing Paula do this sort of thing in every sports episode going forward, I honestly cannot wrap my mind around why she's allowed to be put out on the court when she really shouldn't be there at all, given how she is more of a detriment to the team than anything helpful.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that, because it's like, this is her first appearance. Yeah, well, unfortunately, like, I get that she's probably really wanting to play, but it's just like, what can she really add as much? It'll be a lot harder for her to help be part of, like, that team.
Yeah, I'm really not sure why she needed to be on that team in the first place. I mean, originally, I thought the joke for just this episode, before any other Paula episode came out, was that the Turkey Jerkies were so bad and so desperate for players that they'll allow kids with injuries to join the team, even though they know full well it's not going to be to anyone's benefit, but hey, we gotta fill those numbers, so we'll just take anyone we can.
I'm almost tempted to believe that probably was their original intention, but then I guess maybe they liked the character a lot, so decided to use them more.
I guess, but the thing about Paul is that she's what I would refer to as a one-and-done joke, which means it only works good for just this episode, but then when she's doing it in every episode following this, it just seems a bit too silly, and it's not really as good the first time they did it. I mean, I don't really hate her character. I mean, she hasn't done anything that's like really bad. It's just that how they handle her for just this joke about someone in a cast being able to at least play a game, or at least be there to say that she played a game, and I don't know, she's just not my cup of tea.
Yeah, kind of her whole thing is just that she's a joke, that they just really want to keep make her feel included. She's just, I guess, unfortunately just a throwaway joke, which kind of sucks on that, because character's not too bad, so I don't know, it just seems like not the greatest thing to just have that be her character. Just, oh, she's bad at sports because she's injured or whatever. It's like, oh, no.
Yeah, sacrificing winning, all in the name of inclusiveness. Brilliant logic. Not really. And now we come to our next negative of the episode. Well, actually, negatives. And those negatives would be Megan and Morgan. So, Feem, would you like to start this one off, since you bring up a pretty good point about the little details about them?
Okay, one of my biggest, like, negatives was when they found Megan and Morgan. It's like, oh, they found them and they're not in Royal Woods. And it's like, okay. And then you get a Flip, he decides to move the sign, and then of course the cops show up and they give him a ticket and whatnot, and it's like, them not being in Royal Woods does not add anything to the plot, because it's like, I guess it could be seen as extra conflict, but it just seemed more like padding to me. It gets resolved really fast as well, and then how it gets resolved is kind of stupid in my opinion, because these kids and their families are willingly going to live in Flip's garage for a basketball game. Realistically, who's gonna want to do that? Like, the parents, they'll be like, their kids just be like, oh yes, we're gonna go to this basketball game, right? And so Flip is we're gonna live in a garage. Like, who's gonna agree to that? Like, for a game of basketball? It's like, so I just feel like you could have just had them from Royal Woods, but like maybe them not being aware of this the game that was taking place here, so that's why they weren't a part of it. So them not being from Royal Woods did not add that much to the story, so I think they could have just been from Royal Woods and nothing would really change, because the stuff about like Flip with his garage and all that just doesn't go anywhere. I guess it's like it's just a throwaway joke, but it's not really that funny, so I just don't see the point of keeping it there. I would have just said, oh, they're from Royal Woods, but they're maybe from a different school or something, you know? Yeah,
the whole thing about being out of town girls and not being allowed to be on the team, it really was a little bit too contrived just to keep pushing the story forward. They just could have been in Royal Woods and just say, we didn't know about this draft going on, so, you know, we missed the draft. Hey, we're good, but we weren't there. But considering how far this season was already underway, and they just show up on the team, no one really seems to say anything. No one's saying, hey, wait a minute, these girls were not there on the night of the draft, so how did the Turkey Jerkies just happen to get more team members drafted when everything was already finalized? It just, you know, again, too convenient, too contrived, but really, they were only there just to give Lynn a taste of her own medicine because they became a team of 2, I guess a little bit better than a team of 1, but considering the height advantage that these girls had compared to everyone else, and Lynn was the same height as every other girl on all the other teams, this really put the Turkey Jerkies way ahead of everyone in terms of who can get the ball in the basket more easily, and no one seems to question this at all. I did not get that whatsoever.
Yeah, because one of my things was as well, it's like the Turkey Jerkies didn't have any players on standby to make up like the number ratios, so like we're just willing to have to accept that Megan and Morgan, like, they could just add extra players and then the other team will just have to add extra players too. Like that just seems a bit like stupid. So it's like the other team must have had players on standby to make up the numbers, because otherwise then the Turkey Jerkies would have had a disadvantage, have less players, or the others would just have to bench their players, I guess, on that one. But then shouldn't all the teams really kind of have the same amount of players? So it just seems a little bit odd to me, I guess, on that one.
It definitely was odd because as far as we know, the Turkey Jerkies had a total of 7 players and everyone else would just have 5, which means that according to the rules of basketball, you can only have 5 people out on the court at a time, which meant that 2 of the Turkey Jerkies were being benched, but you know, that gave the Turkey Jerkies a much bigger advantage just in terms of numbers, and everyone else was like, hey, we're all there, we don't have any people that stand in for us. So yeah, contrived, convenient, it didn't really do much for me. Megan and Morgan were just there to be the indirect voice of the reason, but other than that, not much good coming out of these 2.
Yeah, they didn't really add much to the story, but they did add like Lynn learning a lesson, and that's the main point of them being there. But just how they incorporated the characters was just not very well done, in my opinion, because like I said, they just added them, and it's like, yeah, I don't think like a sports event is really gonna just allow like these new people added, and then like I said, the number ratios didn't add up for the other teams, and it's like it just wouldn't work.
Overall, this was a fantastic Lynn episode when it came to developing the sporty side of her character, and she learned that it can't always be about her, and whether you win or lose, it's better knowing everyone did their best. I got my issues with Paula and the contrived use of the ringer girls, but all in all, I can't find too much wrong with this episode. It had a great lesson about sportsmanship, I liked the Harlem Globetrotters music that played in the background, and although the ending wasn't the big win they wanted, they still came off as winners in another way, the equal treatment way, and that's all everyone would have wanted. With that said, I give Net Gains a 9.2 out of 10.
Overall, this episode was a good episode, but a few negatives that sort of brought it down, and I enjoy seeing Lynn being her Lynny self, doing all the sports and stuff, and her confidence and all that. So I always enjoy Lynn's character. There's just something about this episode, I guess, that really prevented it from being like really, really good, because I didn't have too many negatives about it, but then the stuff brought up around Megan and Morgan, and I guess Flip with his garage and all that sort of thing. Those negatives really prevented it from being like a really good episode, in my opinion. While they were mostly kind of minor, they still have made the story like not flow as well, and just kind of could have just been a little bit better on that one. But other than that, like the fact that Lynn learned a lesson, the teammate stuff was really great at the end. The fact that the team even like tried to rub it in, oh, you lost, why are you happy? And then they had Lynn and all the other team like, yeah, we lost, but we had fun while we were doing it, you know? So that's the main thing about the sports, and I think it's a good lesson for like people to just take in general, because a lot of people get way too over competitive with sports and tend to like overlook their teammates a lot of the time and be like, even if someone isn't as good, how can they even improve if you never give them the chance? So I would probably give this an 8 out of 10 probably, because it's just those few negatives that prevent it from being that 10 spot or that number 9 spot. But like I said, enjoyed it, and I probably would watch it again.
Well folks, that concludes our review of Net Gains. As I stated earlier, I'll have a bit more to say about Paula when I get around to talking about Hero Today, Gone Tomorrow, but of course that will be for another day. So as far as this episode goes, what did you guys think of it? Love it? Hate it? Something you would add? Change? Keep it as it is? Let me know in the comments below, and make sure to subscribe to this channel for the latest Loud House content. That's going to do it for us. We'll be catching you guys for the next video, but until then, this is SteamTeamRedubUK, CC Trainor-Ling.
Theme Tunes here. I'm glad I was able to join into another review, and I'm hoping to come back for some more reviews again in the future.
And this is us signing off. Peace out, home slices.
Cheerio, darlings.